Hello friends, hello professionals, and happy holidays. I am back with another video, and if you're new to this channel, my name is Simone. I'm a financial services regulator, and typically my content covers due diligence, compliance information, AML, CFT, a lot of things around financial services and the regulatory space. The regulatory space also includes protecting the public. And so my prior video was looking at certain frauds and scams that are popular around this time of the year, around the holiday season. And this video is going to touch on what you can do if you've unfortunately clicked that email that actually came from a scammer, or you were the victim of a SIM swap, or you were the victim of some other type of theft or fraud that happens around this time of the year. But before I get into my content, let me get my usual disclaimers out of the way. I am a financial services regulator. I am not a lawyer, and I am not a financial advisor. And the views on this channel are definitely all my own and do not reflect the views of any regulatory authority or international standard setter. Now with that out of the way, let's dive in. So, 'tis the season. And it is the season for scammers and fraudsters and criminals to try and get at your money. In my prior video, I looked at some of the typical frauds and scams that bad actors tend to perpetrate around this time of the year, because your transaction patterns are not going to be in line with what is normal. You're ordering a lot more. You're talking to a lot more family. You may be reconnecting with new friends or old friends, as it were. And especially after the last 18 months we've had, who doesn't need a little bit of retail therapy and social interaction? Social interactions are good, even though we might still have to social distance in some jurisdictions. But if you've unfortunately clicked that email that came from a fraudster and they have access to your information and they started to transfer money out of your bank account or steal your crypto, or they've ordered a million things on your Amazon account, because remember, you have your payment information already saved in your account, and you might not detect these things as quickly if you don't know what to do. This video is going to help you in terms of what to do. If you don't do this first thing already, I would recommend that definitely for the season, you do this every day. You need to check your bank account balances, and you need to also check your crypto holdings. If you hold crypto, I have a video in relation to the crypto I hold. I do have a favorite exchange personally, not financial advice. You need to check on those balances on a regular. And you need to enable certain transaction alerts. You see, for some of my transactions, I will make sure that if anything happens, money is transferred, I make a purchase with a certain credit card that has a higher limit, because you want to make sure that someone isn't buying like a new car or something if your credit card can actually afford that. It's important to get those email alerts coming in to ensure that you can know if something is going wrong. And of course, when you execute a legitimate transaction, you will see it as well. Now, in some instances, the first thing the fraudsters will look to do is disable the email alerts. And you have to be very mindful that if you've enabled email alerts, that it is always enabled. You've ordered from Amazon. Amazon is supposed to send you that email once you've enabled it that you've just ordered X, Y, and Z. And you'd be able to go in quickly and address it if you didn't. Same thing applies for your bank account. You didn't transfer that $10,000 to someone that you didn't know, you definitely want to get on that really quickly. You didn't use your cryptocurrency exchange to donate some crypto into a trust, like the Red Cross or something, some charitable organization, you definitely want to get onto that. So that's the first thing. Make sure your email updates and notifications are always enabled. The second thing to do is, if you've unfortunately clicked and you start seeing unusual activity, you need to have the contact information for all of your typical service providers. How do you contact them in case of the worst case scenario? You don't need to be looking for that information when it happens. You need to know immediately what to do. And so you will need to have your phone numbers at hand, you will need to have your email addresses at hand, and you will need to know how to get that fraud reported quickly. Dependent on the exposure or how it was done, whether it was within your jurisdiction, so somebody actually got your credit card and they're using it, you need to know the number to call to actually block transactions from being done on that account until you can resolve it. Same applies for your phone, actually. You need to be able to locate your phone, and I know that some phone manufacturers have that feature, and I'm seeing that feature being used more and more. I actually had a family member that had need to find their phone, and that location feature a few years back, before it was widely known, came in so handy to prevent more bad things from happening in relation to their bank account and their exposures. You need to have all of the facilities available to you, and you need to have these things, dare I say it, written down. Because we store so many things in our phones. What happens when we lose our phones and we can't call or email directly from our phone? We need to have a backup plan. Remember, I spoke about business continuity plans a few videos back. Look at that. See what happens in the worst case scenario, because you do need to be prepared. So have a plan of action as to what you will do in relation to whether you've been the victim of any one of these things. The next thing that I would recommend, and again, this is not advice, my opinion, so I shouldn't use the word recommend. Let's use a thesaurus. The next thing that I would highlight in relation to what you can do if you've unfortunately been the victim of a fraud or a scam, especially if it's connected to a financial services provider and you've already issued your complaint and your notification, document it, but you always want to be on standby to report whatever issues later on to your ombudsman or to your financial services regulator if you're not getting resolution. And why is this important? Well, around Christmas and around the holidays, a lot of financial services providers are engaged in a number of things, not only because of the traffic in relation to transactions, but they may have some regulatory reporting to do or audits to prepare for. There's a lot going on at the year end for everyone. It's just hectic, it's just crazy, and sometimes things can get lost in that. You need to have a point of contact within your institution that you're contacting, so that bank, that insurer, whomever, have a point of contact and make sure that you document your engagement. Because if your engagement doesn't bring some sort of closure or resolution after a few weeks, and they would have service standards in relation to when you should expect to hear something, find that out as well. You may need to actually log a complaint with your regulator or with your financial ombudsman. And in some jurisdictions, there are actually small claims bureaus that handle that. I'm not overly familiar with that, but again, if that's something available to you, it'll do you good to do some research. Once you've been documenting the issue consistently, writing it down, because you don't want your computer to crash, especially if you've been subject to a hack, you then send all of that information in relation to your issue, that scam, that fraud, and the inability of the financial services provider to bring you resolution, to your financial ombudsman or to your financial regulator. However, this is not your first plan of attack. You actually need to engage with that financial institution. So in instance, a bank, if it is a bank and it's your account and your monies that have been stolen, you need to engage with them and really get clarity as to when you should have a resolution. And it is only after that point in time that you will then engage with the regulator or the financial ombudsman, whichever is relevant in your jurisdiction. And it's important to know who's relevant and who you should contact prior to there being an issue. But guys, I'm going to end it here. I know it's the holidays, and I know I'm definitely looking back to getting some sort of beverage that's quite popular around this time of year. 'Tis the season. But before I go, I do definitely need you to do the YouTube things. I need you to like this video. It helps the YouTube algorithm. I definitely need you to share it, because the more people that are aware of the steps that they can take in relation to protecting themselves before the fraud, and if unfortunately they are subject to a fraud, then they know what to do after. Share it. If it can help at least one person, then I would have done my job in this video. definitely subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you're notified every time I drop a video. And guys, I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Get to that Christmas drink I keep talking about. And if you think you know what it is, drop it in the comments below. I'm from the Virgin Islands, so, work on it. And I'll see you in my next video.